Hello and welcome to the viewers of this video. This is the Orange Fan here, bringing you another entry for the episode recap and thoughts category. This video will be dedicated to the B segment of episode 2 of The Loud House, Making the Case. We begin this segment with Lincoln introducing the audience to the Loud family's trophy case, pointing out how his sisters have all won trophies for various things, including his baby sister, Lily. But Lincoln himself does not have a trophy of his own, and we do cut to some flashbacks that show Lincoln's attempts at winning a trophy, but they don't land, to say the least. But Lincoln is confident this time around because there is a video contest going around for the 5th grade, the grade that Lincoln is in. And he, along with Clyde helping him out, are planning to do some videos. The video he comes up with is some sort of a stunt, and it's not really getting the votes. Only one comment does appear, though, that says that he should really try to take notes from his sister Luan, and even provides a link to Luan's parody of YouTube channel. Lincoln is surprised to see how many views and subscribers Luan has, so he and Clyde do go to see Luan about it. Luan says that her one simple rule about videos is to keep the camera going at all times, because she thinks that funny videos are the best way to go over stunt videos, and she suggests keeping the video on at all times because you'll never know when you strike comedy gold, as she puts it. We do get a point where she actually does see Clyde doing something embarrassing, but she assures him she's not going to put it on there without his permission. Then later on, we do cut to some time has passed. Lincoln had the video camera on at all times, but nothing funny came about, and he's disappointed about it. And Clyde's trying to cheer him up, but then they come across Lynn, and something embarrassing happens to Lynn, and they find it funny. Lincoln decides maybe embarrassing videos of his sister is the best way to go. Clyde seems to be weary of the idea, but Lincoln proceeds with it anyway, and we do see him catching footage of all of his sisters in embarrassing situations. After the video has been put up on the not YouTube or parody YouTube, whatever you want to call it, his video actually is the one in first place, and his classmates are praising him and saying how hilarious it was, but also saying that they wouldn't be brave enough to do it if they had as many siblings as Lincoln does, fearing that they would be pulverized for doing so. It's only then when it dawns upon Lincoln about the potential consequences of this approach. Clyde's even worried about Lincoln, saying he'll miss him, but Lincoln thinks that he can probably get things done without them ever finding out. The door opens, and his sisters are waiting for him. Yeah, they found out, and they are not happy. And Lincoln does try to explain about the video, but they don't think he would deserve a trophy for the embarrassing stuff he put up there. Lincoln tries to say he'll take it down for them, but they say it's too late, that the damage has already been done, especially with the way how things can get on the internet, and once they're on there, they can stick on there pretty quickly, even if the source material is gone. And then they refuse to talk to him. When Lincoln tries to apologize, they refuse to. Luan even chastises him for breaking the unspoken rule of putting a video up without permission from the people that were being filmed. Lincoln questioned why Luan didn't bother to mention this, and she said because it's an unspoken rule. And with that, Lincoln decides to end up deleting the video. So the hamster video is the one that's in the lead. That's what he was up against. His main competition was a hamster on a hamster wheel. Apparently it was popular. And Lincoln does, while he's thinking over what he's done, he does realize how hard it is when a camera's on you all the time, and that gives him an idea. He does manage to see Luan, who actually takes the time to hear him out. And when he speaks about how she always has her camera on all the time, he asks if she has any footage of him. She refers to it as Fort Knox, or the Fort Knox, the comedy equivalent to Fort Knox. So Lincoln's video decides that the best he can do to make up for embarrassing his sisters is to embarrass himself alongside them. And we see some very embarrassing videos. One in which, in particular, he's kissing a picture that he attached to one of Lucy's head busts for one of her vampires. He stuck a picture of a girl he likes on there. Her name is Christina. She's a redheaded girl with a blue dress. She might be a reference to the Peanuts character, the little redheaded girl. We see that a couple of times. It then cuts to seeing Lincoln's classmates laughing about it, except Christina, who is shocked in silence about what she saw. And the classmates pretty much say they're laughing at Lincoln, not with him, but Lincoln is hopeful that at least this can make peace with his sisters about it. At first, it seems like it didn't work, but then after he explains the situation, though, they actually reveal that, yeah, they're actually not mad. They actually think that the videos of him were more embarrassing than the videos of them, and they do say that they're on good terms now, and they decide to give him a trophy for his troubles, calling it, and they say it has most improved brother on it. And that's where we end the segment. Now, this segment, I think it does a good job at actually showing, I think it's a good example of when Lincoln is in the wrong and when he gets a reasonable comeuppance. Because you might recall me mentioning this in earlier videos about how some fans do have a tendency to lionize Lincoln a lot to the point where they might ignore his faults. But I have seen some instances where some go the opposite extreme. They really demonize Lincoln or act like that he's always selfish or he always causes problems for his family, never does anything right. And well, I think this was a good middle ground is what I'm trying to get at. Is it did show Lincoln did do wrong by putting his sister's embarrassing moments on the internet without their consent. But he did make up for it. He did own up to his actions, and he ended up getting himself just as embarrassed as his sisters were. And while Lori makes the case that his videos were more embarrassing than theirs, I don't really see how. I think Lincoln's was about equal in terms of embarrassment with his sisters, and I think that was a reasonable comeuppance. He was in the same position as the people that were on the receiving end of his misdemeanors here, and that's because, yeah, there are times where even when Lincoln is in the wrong, I do feel sometimes the punishment he gets is a bit excessive for what his misdemeanor is, a case of disproportionate retribution, if you will. But I don't think that was the case here. I do think that this was perfectly reasonable with the misdemeanor. And another part I did like about this segment was it still portrayed, it was easy to understand why Lincoln did what he did without saying it was okay for him to do that. Because that's a point I feel we have to stress a lot for some people, is understanding someone's actions is not the same as agreeing with someone's actions. Explaining and excusing aren't interchangeable synonyms, and they shouldn't be treated as such. And that's what I was getting at here, is it was easy to understand why Lincoln did what he did, because he does feel overshadowed by his sisters because of all their accomplishments, and he doesn't have his own. But at the same time, it didn't say it was right for Lincoln to do what he did. It was just more, this is why he did it. It's not saying it's okay that he did it, just explaining it, but not excusing it. And so that's what it was. Even though what Lincoln did was wrong, he clearly was regretful about it. It wasn't hard to see where he was coming from, and he made right by it. He did own up to his mistakes. He learned from it. He got a reasonable comeuppance, and he's made peace with his sisters. So I do feel that was a good example of how to have Lincoln be in the wrong without making him seem irredeemable and without going so far as to be cruel, not to cruelly punish him for it, but a reasonable punishment, one that's in line with the crime, not the punishment exceeding the crime. The other part that I do remember when I first saw this segment was Christina caught my attention pretty quickly because, like I mentioned before, I suspect she might be a reference to the little redheaded girl from Peanuts, but the fact that Lincoln liked her, that did make me wonder if she was going to be an important character as well, because its sibling segment, Heavy Metal, did introduce us to Ronnie Ann, who was the show's equivalent to Helga Pataki of Hey Arnold. So going with that Hey Arnold analogy, I figured, maybe Christina will be the show's equivalent to Lila Sawyer. Now, as of the recording of this video, Christina has appeared in other segments, but she never really got quite as a prevalent role. We never even hear her talk, and I kind of wish that we did get to see more of Christina. I feel there's a lot of potential with the character, but it was never reached, and I'm still hopeful. I mean, we at the time of the recording of this video, season 2's not over yet, and we still have season 3 to go, and there's even a movie coming up, so maybe if we're lucky, maybe we'll get to learn more about Christina, have an idea of what her personality is like. I'd like to get to know her more, but yeah, it'd be a shame. What I'm saying is it'd be a shame if we never got to learn more about Christina. Like, I kind of wonder what her voice would sound like, who would voice her, and that's actually something that I think could make some good comments. Like, if you have any ideas who you think should voice Christina, or what do you imagine her voice to sound like, you should leave a comment saying about it. It might be interesting or what do you think Christina's personality is like? I think that could be a good thing to read about in the comments and see what other people think about for a character we don't know a whole lot about. So, between the two segments for episode 2, I did favor Heavy Metal more, but I didn't hate making the case, and I actually thought it was a good example of what it set out to do. And so I thought, again, it was a solid segment, even if I preferred its sibling segment more. So, with A and B segments covered, episode 2 of The Loud House has now been discussed on this channel. Take care, and until next time.